So let the administrative director please call the people that decided to attend.
All right.
I mean, board members, sorry.
Chairman Medill,
Present.
Vice Chairman Sylvia. Not present. Treasurer Pyle.
Here.
Okay. Secretary Kaiser is not present. Commissioner Mullins. No, Mr. Mullins. Okay, and then also we have Jay Brown,
Hello, right here.
Linda Laird,
Here.
Cheryl Happy,
Present.
Kate Gooderham.
Present.
Let's see, jumping around here, sorry. Bob Gray
Hi.
and Nicole Sharp.
Afternoon.
And I'm not sure who Galaxy S10 is, but hello.
David Mintz, did you call him?
And Mr. Mintz, David Mintz.
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's everybody.
All right, Chair Medill.
Sorry, I just got a mini issue here. Send. All right, so there is a proposal for the sea level rise adaptation alternatives. We will now hear from Linda Laird of the Captiva Community Panel Sea Level Rise Committee. Mrs. Laird, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share screen. Let's see if this works. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you, Renee. What I'm going to do now is give you some background on our committee, and with Cheryl Hapke, who has been doing most of the technical work, and then come talk to you about a proposal we have for coming up with adaptation alternatives. To give you an introduction, Cheryl is a senior consultant in Integral Consulting. This is actually a premier environmental science and engineering firm. If you take a look at their website, it's very impressive. She came to us because she and Kate Gooderham have known each other for 20 years, and they were talking about it. And she had recently left the the U.S. Geological Center and was starting her own business. Since then, she has moved over to Integral Consulting, and she got involved with us and volunteered to help us out initially. Integral Consulting is quite a large company. It's got over 25 million in revenues. There are 10 offices, including one in Florida. For professionals, there's over 150 professionals. I think there's somewhere around 6 to 10 principals. Everybody else is scientists and engineers. So you're talking about a lot of PhDs and professional engineers. There's a coastal resilience practice that's part of one of the divisions. They have engagements going on right now in South Padre Island, San Mateo County, Ventura County, etc. Not that much on the East Coast. They've been more West Coast centric. Cheryl has a PhD in coastal geology. She's got over 25 years of experience in hazard and vulnerability studies, is currently a research professor at USFSP, and has quite a few years of experience, including being the director of the St. Petersburg, I don't know, it's covered up, but the Marine Science Center. So very technically based company. This is not a build company. This is a engineering and science company, but it's full of professionals with lots of experience. This slide talks about how you go about doing an adaptation plan. Our committee was formed about 2 years ago. And the first question was if we're supposed to come up with solutions for the panel for sea level rise, how to address it. We really didn't know how to go about doing it. So we spent quite a bit of time figuring that out. And we found out that Florida has an Office of Resiliency Planning as part of the FDEP, and they actually have a guidebook which they keep updating in terms of how to create adaptation plans. So after we figured this out, we decided we would follow their process. It's really sort of a standard process. You set the context, which means getting people involved, figuring out what you're going to look at, what's your area, doing a vulnerability assessment, where are the problems, come up with adaptation strategies, and then figure out how to go about implementing them. So it's sort of a standard process. We do one after the other after the other. And we've been doing this for the last 2 years. So in 2019, what we did is we formed our committee and we figured out we wanted to do this planning process and use this process. Then in 2020, we did the vulnerability analysis and we reviewed it both with the panel and other stakeholders. And we had a public meeting in November on Zoom for Captivans, which had relatively good turnout considering it was a Zoom meeting. And we were in the middle of the pandemic. So that worked out pretty well. So we've been moving forward, and now in 2020, 2021, we're working on step 3, the adaptation strategies. And then hopefully we're going to get to coming up with how to go about implementing things in 2022. To date, we've spent no money on this except for the administrative support. The work has been done pro bono by Cheryl and her company, which we very much appreciate because we really didn't have much of a budget. We tried to get a big grant with Sanibel that didn't happen. So we've been going forward as best we could, and we've come to the point that we do need money to do adaptation planning. So where are we today? You see the thing on the little left, we're here. We've done step 1, step 2, and we now need to identify the appropriate adaptation strategies for Captiva. And reviewing where we were, what I'm going to is talk about the vulnerability assessment, and then Cheryl's going to go through the maps for those of you who haven't seen them. We are complete. What we did is, and this is an initial one. This is not, we could have spent a lot of money on this. We had proposals for $1 million to do this, which we chose not to pursue. That's what's happening down, is it Collier County? I'm not sure exactly. But other counties are doing very larger scale. Captiva is actually a relatively simple case. We're a small barrier island, and we felt we could get most of the benefit by doing a simple version rather than a very, very complex modeling effort. And so we chose to do that. We looked at impacts of 1, 2, 4, and 7 feet inundations, where 7 feet is like a Cat 1 hurricane. And we know we were, well, and we sort of get blown over at that point. But the results were that at 1 foot, there were threats to most of the bayside properties. There's threats to South Seas, specifically the sewer treatment plant and being able to get to it, the roads. And there's threat to septic fields throughout Captiva. At 2 feet, you start seeing serious flooding in the village east of Captiva Drive. And in South Seas, there's problems with the roads, with Bayside Marina, and the sewer treatment facility. And at 4 feet, Captiva starts to get significantly reduced in size. So we reviewed this in November with the community. This slide, which Cheryl's going to go through, shows you a little more detail about what happens with the various levels of sea level rise. Cheryl, do you want to take over?
Thanks, Linda. And thanks for having me here today. It's nice to meet everyone. So just to give you an overview of, unlike me, you probably don't spend a lot of time looking at aerial photographs of coastal systems. Maybe you do hop on Google Earth now and then to check things out, or Google Maps. But what you're looking at here is Captiva Island, shot from from an airplane. And you can see my cursor, I don't think works because I'm not, sharing the screen, but the top panel is the northern part of Captiva Island, and the lower panel is the southern portion of Captiva Island. So you can see where there's the South Seas and Redfish Paths coming through, Plantation Road along to the Bayside Marina, and so on, just to kind of orient you. Then in the bottom, you come in where you start coming into Roosevelt Channel, where a lot of the backside of Captiva is protected from at least wind events and any kind of major storm surge by Buck Key, and then come around to the Blind Pass, which is obviously where you have both Roosevelt Channel flowing in and Blind Pass, tightly influenced Blind Pass. And you can, of course, see all along the front end of the island is your nice, beautiful Captiva beach. So what we've done is we've created a model that looks at 1 foot of sea level rise. And we prefer to use amounts of sea level rise rather than say what year that's going to occur, because we're aware that there are extreme uncertainties in what the rates of sea level rise will do into the future. We just don't know how fast the ice sheets are going to melt and what humans might or might not do, or how things might change. So all we have are estimates. But you can see in this particular set of photographs, this is with 1 foot of sea level rise. You already start to get a lot of inundation back by the water treatment plant to the north of Chadwick Bayou, and obviously in that combined with any type of like storm, you may have issues even reaching the water treatment plant. And as we come along the backside, you can see the water, even at 1 foot of sea level rise, is already right up at Plantation Road. You can see, as Linda mentioned, and when she reviewed the results, all along the shoreline where you're seeing the blue color, that's where it's forecast that, at mean high tide, at mean high or high tide, meaning that the elevation of wherever your high tide is today, this will be 1 foot on top of that. And so the blue areas are where there will be inundation, a regular inundation. In the lower panel, you can see Buck Key isn't as quite as significant as the area protected by Buck Key, except over a little bit, just where it says Roosevelt Channel, there's some inundation areas there. So if we move on to the next slide, now that you're kind of oriented to what you're looking at here, now we move to the modeling, and we've done 2 feet of sea level rise. Again, change expected to happen sometime in 2050 and 2090. I don't know if someone could mute there's a lot of background noise. The life of Zoom calls. So anyway, here we are at 2 feet of Captiva. You can see the entire area, the road and the facility of the water treatment plant is significantly now experiencing inundation. Plantation Road is underwater on a regular high tide. All around Bayside Marina, the whole area around Clam Bayou. And then as we go toward the Rauschenberg property, up to the point and around, you can see the substantial inundation of this part of Captiva Island on the Bayside. You'll notice on all these, if you remember the previous maps and on this one, that you don't see a lot coming in from the ocean side, right? There's a little bit in 2 feet of sea level rise, but that's because you have a robust beach nourishment program in place. So it's keeping that beach nice and elevated and with some width. So the issue isn't from the front. I just lost my visual. Oh, Jesus. Somebody has bombed our.
We have,
Here,
Русский!
we're hacked. Somebody hacked it.
Отъебись ты от меня, ёбаный ты кусок говна, блядь! What the fuck? Сын тупорылой шлюхи, блядь, мать твою.
Linda.
Заебал меня, блядь, конченый кусок.
Let's all get off and come in again, okay? Oh,
Well,
there.
can the host throw that?
Сука, блядь, эта семья сдохнет, блядь, дай-ка мне выиграть эту ёбаную игру, блядь, сука, ты конченая, блядь. Я твою просто мать, блядь, зарежу конченый, ты кусок гниды ебаный, блядь, ЧСВшная, сука, вывлетская хуйня.
We're all leaving and coming back. Is that what we decided?
Yeah, I think so.
So we're leaving?
Говорит по-русски.
And
Can the
be
host
careful
throw
about
that
the-
person out?
No. I don't know if they can throw the person out.
Who's hosting this?
Not me.
John Riegert is John, aren't you hosting? I think he's trying to do something.
I tried to put as many people as I could in the waiting room who I couldn't recognize. So.
I would, wow.
Wow, look at all the chats.
Why don't we just start all over? Why don't we just all go back in, get out and go back in?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Everybody close
Okay, we're
out.
all gonna sign back in.
Yep, thank you. What are they chatting? Inappropriate stuff.
I'm sure.
Oh, no, we're not. We don't wanna- Oh, yeah. Well, at least it's in Russian.
Russian, right?
Right.
Oh, I knew they were Russian.
It's always the Russians.